The skies above Earth had always been a source of wonder. For millennia, humans gazed upward, dreaming of distant stars and imagining what might lie beyond the thin blue veil that separated them from the infinite cosmos. But no one, not even the most imaginative science fiction writer, could have predicted what happened on that fateful Tuesday morning. It began like any other day, with people rushing to work, children heading to school, and the humdrum rhythm of daily life playing out across the planet. Then, without warning, the heavens seemed to split apart. At first, it looked like a strange, atmospheric phenomenon. A shimmering crack appeared high in the sky, glowing faintly as if lit by an unseen energy source. People stopped in their tracks, pointing upward as the rift grew wider. Social media erupted with videos and photos, speculation, running wild about everything from solar flares to government experiments gone wrong. But then came the ships. Massive, sleek vessels emerged from the tear in the sky, their metallic surfaces gleaming under the morning sun. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, or so everyone thought. These weren't alien ships. The designs were unmistakably human. Each vessel bore markings that symbolized unity, a golden emblem depicting Earth's continents intertwined, set against a deep blue background. The largest ship dwarfed anything humanity had previously constructed, its size comparable to small cities. Smaller cruisers flanked it, forming a protective formation around the central behemoth. The sudden appearance of this fleet left the world stunned. Governments scrambled to respond, military forces went on high alert, and ordinary citizens watched in awe as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. What made the moment even more surreal was the complete silence surrounding the event. There were no explosions, no blinding lights, no ominous messages broadcast to the planet below. Just the quiet, deliberate arrival of these colossal machines. Scientists raced to analyze the phenomenon, but their instruments couldn't make sense of the rift through which the ships had entered Earth's atmosphere. Was it some kind of wormhole, a portal created by advanced technology, or something else entirely? As questions swirled, one thing became painfully clear. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe anymore. And whoever controlled those ships knew far more than they let on. Unbeknownst to the rest of the world, the origins of this fleet stretched back decades. Hidden beneath layers of secrecy, governments and private organizations had worked tirelessly to prepare for this exact moment. It all started when astronomers detected unusual signals emanating from near Saturn. At first, they dismissed the readings as interference or equipment malfunction, but when probes sent to investigate returned fragments of alien technology, the truth could no longer be ignored. Humanity had made contact, not directly with intelligent life, but with proof that such life existed. This discovery sparked a global effort unlike anything seen before. World leaders put aside their differences, recognizing the existential threat posed by potentially hostile extraterrestrial civilizations. Resources were pooled and top scientists were recruited to study the alien artifacts. What they found was both terrifying and exhilarating. The technology was centuries ahead of anything humanity possessed, yet it was not incomprehensible. Piece by piece, researchers unraveled its secrets, reverse engineering components to create breakthroughs in energy, propulsion, and materials science. Entire industries were transformed overnight, though the public remained unaware of the true purpose behind these advancements. Underground facilities sprang up across the globe, disguised as research labs, data centers, or military installations. Inside, teams of engineers and physicists worked around the clock to build what would eventually become Earth's first interstellar fleet. Every decision was guided by a single overriding principle: survival. If aliens discovered Earth's existence, humanity needed to be ready. And readiness meant having the ability to defend itself, not just on its own turf, but anywhere in the galaxy. The project was codenamed Stellar Shield, and it consumed trillions of dollars and countless man-hours over 3 decades. Central to Stellar Shield's success was Captain Elena Vasquez, a decorated officer hand-picked to lead the EE fleet once it was operational. Born into a family of scientists, Elena had grown up surrounded by talk of space exploration and theoretical physics. She joined the military not out of a desire for glory, but because she believed protecting humanity required strength tempered by wisdom. Her leadership style reflected this philosophy, calm under pressure, decisive when necessary, and always focused on the bigger picture. When the call came to take command of the flagship Aegis, Elena didn't hesitate. She knew the weight of responsibility resting on her shoulders, but she also understood the stakes. Failure wasn't an option. As the fleet assembled in orbit, anticipation mingled with anxiety among the crew members. Many had spent years training for this moment, honing their skills in simulated battles and mastering the intricacies of the new technology. Yet nothing could fully prepare them for the reality of standing on the brink of interstellar war. For now, however, the mission was simple: announce humanity's presence to the galaxy and establish Earth as a force to be reckoned with. Whether the rest of the universe would welcome them or see them as a threat remained to be seen. When the time came to unveil the fleet to the world, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. News outlets broke the story simultaneously, broadcasting live footage of the ships hovering serenely above Earth. Social media platforms crashed under the sheer volume of posts, memes, and conspiracy theories flooding cyberspace. Some celebrated the dawn of a new era, hailing humanity's ingenuity and resilience. Others panicked, convinced that invasion or annihilation was imminent. Amid the chaos, world leaders addressed their citizens, urging calm while emphasizing the importance of unity. "Today marks the beginning of a journey we must take together," said the President of the United States during a hastily arranged press conference. "We are not alone in the universe, but we are prepared." Beyond Earth, the ripple effects were equally profound. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had long dismissed humanity as insignificant primitives reeled in shock. The Galactic Empire, a sprawling coalition of species spanning thousands of star systems, convened an emergency session to discuss the implications of Earth's sudden emergence. Representatives from various factions argued fiercely, some calling for immediate diplomatic engagement, others advocating caution or outright hostility. Among the loudest voices was Ambassador Krilthak of the Zorathian Consortium, a militaristic empire notorious for its aggressive expansion policies. This cannot be tolerated," he snarled, his reptilian features contorted in anger. A primitive species should not possess such power. But humanity wasn't interested in conquest, or at least not yet. Through carefully crafted broadcasts transmitted in multiple galactic languages, Earth introduced itself as a peaceful but formidable presence. Spokesperson Dr. Annika Patel, a renowned astrophysicist turned diplomat, delivered the message with eloquence and poise. "We come not as conquerors but as equals," she declared. "Our history is marked by struggle, division, and conflict, but also by innovation, perseverance, and hope. We seek cooperation, trade, and mutual understanding. However, let there be no mistake. We will defend ourselves if provoked." The statement struck a delicate balance between humility and strength, leaving many alien leaders intrigued, but not all convinced. For the Zyran hegemony, a tyrannical regime built on subjugation and exploitation, humanity's rise represented an unacceptable challenge to their dominance. Emperor Vorthan IX, a towering figure clad in ornate armor, summoned his advisors to his throne room. "They think they can simply appear and demand respect," he growled, slamming his fist onto the armrest. "This Earth must be dealt with swiftly, before it inspires rebellion among our subjects." His words carried weight, and soon plans were drawn up to neutralize the perceived threat. Unbeknownst to humanity, their debut on the galactic stage had already ignited a powder keg of resentment and fear, one that threatened to explode into open conflict. The initial shock of Earth's emergence began to settle, but the galaxy was far from calm. As humanity took its first steps onto the interstellar stage, whispers of intrigue and suspicion spread like wildfire among alien civilizations. The Galactic Empire, a coalition of diverse species bound by trade agreements, shared resources, and mutual defense pacts, found itself divided over how to respond to this unexpected newcomer. Some factions admired humanity's ingenuity and rapid advancement, seeing potential allies in a chaotic universe. Others, however, viewed Earth with suspicion, their fears fueled by centuries of paranoia about upstart species disrupting the fragile balance of power. Captain Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard the Aegis quickly became the face of humanity's efforts to navigate this complex web of galactic politics. After the fleet's dramatic unveiling, Elena had ordered her communications team to establish contact with key representatives across the galaxy. Her instructions were clear: project strength without aggression, confidence without arrogance. Diplomacy would be their primary weapon, at least for now. But as messages poured in from various corners of the Empire, it became evident that not everyone was willing to extend an olive branch. One of the earliest responses came from Ambassador Krilthak of the Zorathian Consortium, whose disdain for humanity was palpable even through holographic transmissions. During a tense virtual summit organized by the Galactic Council, Krilthak demanded answers. How could such a primitive species achieve this? He hissed, his forked tongue flicking with barely contained fury. His question echoed throughout the chamber, drawing murmurs of agreement from other delegates. Many alien leaders struggled to comprehend how a planet they had dismissed as irrelevant could suddenly produce technology rivaling or surpassing their own. Dr. Anika Patel, representing Earth at the summit, stepped forward to address the council. Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the heated atmosphere of the room. Humanity's journey has been one of survival, she explained, her voice steady and measured. For decades, we faced challenges that threatened our very existence: climate crises, resource shortages, and global conflicts. When we discovered fragments of alien technology near Saturn, we saw an opportunity to evolve. We adapted, innovated, and worked together as never before. This fleet is the result of that collective effort. Her words resonated with some members of the Council, particularly those who represented smaller or marginalized species. For them, humanity's story was inspiring, a testament to resilience and determination. But others remained unconvinced. Among them was Emperor Vorthon IX of the Zyran hegemony, whose empire thrived on subjugation and control. To him, humanity's rise represented not just a challenge to his authority, but a dangerous precedent. If a primitive species like Earth could ascend so rapidly, what did that mean for the countless worlds under his dominion? Could they, too, rise up against him? Back on Earth, the situation grew increasingly complicated. While the fleet's presence above the planet served as a deterrent to potential aggressors, it also placed immense pressure on governments to maintain transparency with their citizens. Rumors swirled about hidden agendas, secret alliances, and classified operations. Conspiracy theories flourished, with some claiming the ships were part of a shadowy cabal manipulating world events for decades. Public trust wavered, forcing leaders to walk a fine line between secrecy and disclosure. Meanwhile, Captain Vasquez faced her own set of challenges aboard the Aegis. Managing a crew composed of individuals from nearly every corner of the globe required extraordinary diplomacy. Language barriers, cultural differences, and personal biases occasionally flared into tension, especially during high-stakes situations. Yet Elena's leadership style fostered unity where division might otherwise have taken root. She encouraged open dialogue, empowering her officers to voice concerns and contribute ideas. It was this collaborative approach that allowed the fleet to function smoothly despite the unprecedented nature of their mission. As days turned into weeks, humanity's interactions with alien civilizations deepened. Trade delegations arrived from distant star systems, eager to learn more about Earth's technological breakthroughs. Scientists exchanged knowledge, sharing insights that promised to benefit both sides. Medical advancements, energy solutions, and agricultural innovations flowed freely between Earth and its newfound partners. These exchanges helped build goodwill, proving that humanity had much to offer beyond its military might. But not all encounters were peaceful. Reports began surfacing of skirmishes along the outer edges of human-controlled space. Rogue vessels believed to be operating under the influence of the Zyran hegemony had attempted to infiltrate Earth's defenses. Though these incursions were swiftly repelled, they underscored the growing threat posed by those unwilling to accept humanity's place in the galaxy. Intelligence gathered by covert operatives revealed troubling details. The Xyrans were actively spreading misinformation, portraying Earth as a destabilizing force intent on overthrowing established order. Their goal was clear: to isolate humanity diplomatically and justify future acts of aggression. Elena and her advisors knew they couldn't afford to sit idly by while their enemies plotted against them. Under her command, the fleet launched reconnaissance missions to gather intelligence and assess vulnerabilities within Xyran-controlled territories. What they discovered was alarming. The Xyrans had amassed a formidable armada, equipped with weapons capable of devastating entire planets. Worse still, they appeared to be recruiting allies among disaffected species, exploiting grievances to bolster their ranks. Faced with mounting hostility, Elena convened a strategy meeting aboard the Aegis. Around the table sat her most trusted officers, each bringing unique expertise to the discussion. Admiral Rajiv Mehta, head of tactical operations, presented simulations predicting possible outcomes of a direct confrontation with the Xyrans. "If we engage them head-on, we risk heavy casualties," he warned. "Their numbers outweigh ours, and they've had centuries to refine their combat strategies." Lieutenant Commander Mei Ling, head of engineering, offered a different perspective. "Our advantage lies in innovation," she argued. "We've developed technologies they can't possibly anticipate. Quantum disruptors, cloaking fields, adaptive shielding, all tools we can use to outmaneuver them." Elena listened intently, weighing the options before her. A full-scale war wasn't inevitable, not yet, but neither could she allow the Xyrans to dictate terms. Instead, she proposed a bold plan, a preemptive strike designed to neutralize the enemy's capabilities without resorting to outright violence. By targeting critical infrastructure and supply lines, the fleet could cripple the Xyran war machine while minimizing collateral damage. It was a risky gambit, requiring precision and timing, but it offered the best chance of averting bloodshed. Preparations for the operation moved swiftly. Engineers worked around the clock to fine-tune experimental systems, ensuring every piece of equipment performed flawlessly. Pilots trained tirelessly, mastering maneuvers that pushed the limits of human endurance. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts continued, with Dr. Patel working tirelessly to rally support from sympathetic species. Slowly but surely, humanity began, forming alliances with oppressed races eager to break free from Xyran tyranny. As launch day approached, tension aboard the Aegis reached a fever pitch. Officers double-checked manifests, reviewed contingency plans, and rehearsed protocols until they could recite them in their sleep. Elena walked among her crew, offering words of encouragement and reminding them of their purpose. "This isn't just about protecting Earth," she said during one briefing. "It's about standing up for anyone who's ever been told they're powerless. Together, we can show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." When the moment finally arrived, the fleet moved with precision and purpose. Led by Elena, the Aegis and its escort ships slipped past Xyran patrols undetected, thanks to advanced cloaking technology. Their target, a heavily fortified orbital station serving as a hub for logistics and communication. Using quantum disruptors, the humans disabled the station's defenses, rendering it vulnerable to capture. Not a single shot was fired. Not a single life was lost. Within hours, the operation was complete, and the fleet withdrew to safety. News of the bloodless victory reverberated across the stars. Alien leaders who had once doubted humanity's intentions now praised their restraint and ingenuity. Even skeptics admitted grudging respect, acknowledging that Earth had achieved something remarkable. For the first time, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted, not through brute force, but through strategy, morality, and unwavering resolve. But Elena knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The Xyrans wouldn't take this defeat lying down. Retaliation was inevitable. Still, as she gazed out at the endless expanse of space, she felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had proven itself capable of adapting, surviving, and thriving in the face of adversity. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would meet them head-on and together. The bloodless victory at the Zyran orbital station sent shockwaves through the galaxy, but it also marked a turning point in humanity's journey. For the first time, Earth was no longer seen as just a mysterious newcomer. It was now a force to be reckoned with. The operation had demonstrated not only humanity's technological prowess, but also its commitment to minimizing harm. Captain Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard the Aegis became symbols of this new philosophy. Strength tempered by wisdom, power guided by morality. Yet even as praise poured in from some quarters, tensions continued to simmer beneath the surface. Emperor Vorthan IX of the Zyran hegemony was livid. In the privacy of his throne room, surrounded by advisors who dared not speak unless spoken to, he seethed with rage. "They humiliated us," he growled, pacing back and forth. His crimson cape swirled behind him as he slammed his armored fist onto a nearby console. "An entire station disabled without firing a single shot? This is unacceptable. Do they think we are weak? Cowards?" His chief strategist, Commander Zarn, stepped forward cautiously. "Your Majesty, their tactics were unconventional, yes, but effective. We underestimated them, and that mistake cost us dearly." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "But there is opportunity here. Their reluctance to use lethal force suggests hesitation. If we strike decisively, we can exploit that weakness." Vorthan stopped pacing and turned to face Zarn, his golden eyes narrowing. "Explain." Zarn gestured toward a holographic display showing a map of human-controlled space. "Their fleet is small compared to ours. They may have advanced technology, but they lack numbers. If we mobilize our forces and coordinate attacks on multiple fronts, they will be stretched thin. Divide and conquer. That is how we regain control." "Gidakor." Emperor nodded slowly, a sinister smile spreading across his face. "Very well. Prepare the fleet. Let them know what happens when they cross the Zyran hegemony." Meanwhile, aboard the Aegis, Captain Vasquez and her team were analyzing the aftermath of their operation. Intelligence reports indicated that the Zyrans were regrouping, but the specifics remained unclear. "They're up to something," Admiral Rajiv Mehta said during a briefing session. "This silence isn't normal for them. Usually they'd retaliate immediately after a defeat like this." Elena leaned forward, studying the data displayed on the table before her. "They're planning something big," she agreed. "We need to stay ahead of them." "Lieutenant Commander Ling, what's the status of our experimental systems?" Mei Ling tapped a few commands on her datapad. "Quantum disruptors are fully operational, and we've improved the cloaking field efficiency by 15%. However, the adaptive shielding still has limitations. It works best against energy-based weapons, but kinetic projectiles could penetrate if they hit hard enough." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "Good work. Keep refining those systems. We might need every advantage we can get." As the meeting concluded, Elena retreated to her quarters, seeking a moment of solitude. Despite the success of their recent mission, the weight of leadership pressed heavily on her shoulders. She stared out the viewport at the endless expanse of stars, wondering how far humanity had come, and how much farther they would need to go. Was it possible to coexist peacefully with species like the Zyrans, or was conflict inevitable? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. It was Dr. Anika Patel, carrying a datapad filled with updates from diplomatic channels. "Captain," Anika began hesitantly, "there's something you should see." Elena motioned for her to sit. "What is it?" Anika activated the datapad, revealing intercepted communications between the Zyrans and several smaller species. "It seems they're trying to turn others against us, spreading lies about our intentions, claiming we're imperialistic warmongers bent on domination." Elena sighed deeply. "Of course they are. Propaganda is one of their favorite tools. What's worse is that some people might actually believe it. We need to counteract this narrative," Anika urged. "If we don't address these accusations, more species could side with the Zyrans out of fear or misinformation." Elena rubbed her temples, considering their options. "All right. Work with communications to craft a response. highlight our actions. So far, how we've avoided unnecessary violence, how we've reached out diplomatically, and find allies willing to vouch for us. Personal testimonies carry more weight than official statements sometimes. Annika nodded, determination shining in her eyes. Understood, I'll get started right away. While diplomacy unfolded in the shadows, covert operatives working under Elena's command made another startling discovery. Deep within Zyran-controlled territories, hidden asteroid bases housed massive shipyards producing warships at an alarming rate. Worse still, evidence suggested that the Zyrans were developing biological weapons designed to target specific genetic markers, a horrifying prospect given humanity's unique DNA. When this information reached the Aegis, Elena called an emergency meeting with her senior officers. This changes everything, she declared grimly. If they deploy biological weapons, millions, even billions could die. We can't let that happen. Admiral Maida frowned. Direct intervention would mean breaching neutral zones and risking escalation. But doing nothing feels equally irresponsible. Lieutenant. Commander Ling chimed in. What if we sabotage their production facilities instead? Disable the machinery remotely or plant viruses in their systems to corrupt their designs? Elena considered the idea. Sabotage carried risks, but it might prevent untold suffering. Doable, she said finally. But we'll need someone on the ground to ensure success. A stealth mission. Volunteers weren't hard to find. Among them was Lieutenant Marcus Kane, a skilled pilot and infiltration expert known for his daring exploits. When Elena approached him with the plan, he accepted without hesitation. I didn't join this fleet to sit on the sidelines, he said firmly. Let's take the fight to them. The mission required meticulous planning. Marcus and his team would infiltrate the asteroid base disguised as maintenance workers, using forged credentials created by the intelligence division. Once inside, they would upload a virus into the central computer system, rendering the facility useless. Timing was critical. They had less than 24 hours before the Zyrans discovered the breach. Back on Earth, public sentiment remained divided. While many celebrated humanity's achievements, others questioned whether the fleet's actions were worth the risk. Protests erupted in major cities, with activists demanding transparency and accountability. Some accused world leaders of prioritizing interstellar ambitions over pressing domestic issues like poverty and inequality. President Sofia Alvarez addressed the nation in a televised speech, acknowledging the concerns while emphasizing the importance of unity. Our presence in the galaxy is not just about defending ourselves, it's about shaping a better future for all, she said passionately. Yes, the road ahead will be challenging. Yes, sacrifices will be required. But together, we can achieve greatness. Together we can prove that humanity deserves a place among the stars. Her words resonated with some, but skepticism lingered. Social media buzzed with debates, memes mocking political figures, and conspiracy theories claiming the fleet was part of a secret agenda to establish a global dictatorship. Journalists scrambled to uncover the truth, filing reports that ranged from insightful analysis to outright sensationalism. Amid the chaos, ordinary citizens found themselves grappling with existential questions. What did it mean to be human in a universe teeming with life? How should humanity define itself on the galactic stage? These conversations played out in classrooms, coffee shops, and online forums, reflecting a society struggling to adapt to its newfound reality. On the other side of the galaxy, Lieutenant Marcus Kane and his team executed their mission with precision. Disguised in stolen uniforms, they slipped past security checkpoints and accessed the asteroid base's core systems. As Marcus uploaded the virus, alarms blared throughout the facility. Guards rushed toward their location, forcing the team to improvise. "Kane, we've got company," shouted Corporal Sarah Lynn, taking cover behind a stack of crates. Marcus glanced at his timer. 5 seconds left. Hold them off. Using non-lethal weapons provided by Earth's engineers, the team incapacitated the guards without causing permanent harm. Just as the last enemy fell, the screen flickered, confirming the virus's deployment. "Mission accomplished," Marcus muttered, signaling a retreat. They barely escaped in time. Explosions rocked the facility as corrupted systems overloaded, destroying the shipyards and rendering the biological weapons inert. News of the sabotage reached the Aegis shortly afterward, prompting cheers among the crew. For now, humanity had thwarted another threat, but the larger battle loomed on the horizon. As the fleet prepared for what lay ahead, Captain Vasquez reflected on the challenges they faced. Humanity had proven its resilience and ingenuity, but the true test was yet to come. Could they navigate the treacherous waters of galactic politics and emerge victorious? Or would the weight of their ambition crush them before they reached the stars? Only time would tell. The sabotage of the Xeran asteroid base marked a significant blow to the hegemony's war machine, but it also ignited a firestorm of retaliation. Emperor Vorthon IX, humiliated once again by humanity's ingenuity, declared open hostility against Earth. In a fiery address broadcast across the galaxy, he branded humanity as reckless upstarts who had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. "You dare strike at the heart of our empire?" he thundered, his voice dripping with venom. "Then prepare yourselves for annihilation. The Xeran hegemony does not forgive. We do not forget." True to his word, the Xerans launched a massive offensive. Fleets poured out from their territories, targeting not only Earth's solar system but also its allies and trade routes. Smaller species aligned with humanity found themselves under siege, their planets bombarded and their populations terrorized. It was clear, the Xerans aimed to isolate Earth diplomatically, while crippling its ability to wage war. Captain Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard the Aegis scrambled to respond. Intelligence reports painted a grim picture. Xeran forces outnumbered them 3-1, and their enemies were now using tactics designed specifically to counter Earth's technological advantages. Quantum disruptors, which had been so effective in disabling enemy ships earlier, were rendered less potent thanks to new shielding systems hastily implemented by the Xerans. Adaptive shields struggled against barrages of kinetic projectiles, forcing Earth's fleet to adapt on the fly. Elena called an emergency strategy meeting in the flagship's war room. Holographic displays flickered above the table, showing real-time updates of battles raging across multiple star systems. "We're stretched too thin," Admiral Rajiv Mehta admitted, frustration evident in his tone. "If we try to defend every ally and protect every supply line, we'll lose everything." Lieutenant Commander Mei Ling nodded in agreement. "Our resources are finite. We need to prioritize where we focus our efforts, or risk losing critical ground." Elena studied the maps, carefully, her mind racing. She knew they couldn't afford to retreat entirely, nor could they abandon their allies to suffer alone. After a moment of silence, she spoke firmly. "We'll adopt a defensive posture near Earth and fortify key allied worlds. But we won't stop there. Instead of waiting for them to bring the fight to us, we'll take the battle to them in ways they won't expect." Her officers exchanged glances, intrigued but cautious. "What do you have in mind, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Marcus Kane, who had recently returned from the successful sabotage mission. Elena leaned forward, her eyes sharp with determination. "Guerrilla warfare, hit-and-run tactics. We strike fast, disable their assets, and vanish before they can retaliate. They rely on overwhelming numbers. Let's exploit their inability to adapt quickly." Meanwhile, back on Earth, public morale began to waver. News of Xeran attacks reached households worldwide, accompanied by harrowing images of devastated alien cities and fleeing refugees. Social media erupted with debates about whether humanity should continue fighting or seek peace at any cost. Some argued that Earth's survival depended on standing firm, while others believed further conflict would only lead to ruin. President Sofia Alvarez faced mounting pressure to justify the fleet's actions. Protesters gathered outside government buildings holding signs that read, "No more war," and "Bring our heroes home." Yet amidst the dissent, pockets of resilience emerged. Volunteers signed up en masse to join Earth's military efforts, inspired by stories of courage and sacrifice. From the front lines, scientists worked tirelessly to improve existing technologies, driven by the belief that humanity's future rested on innovation. Dr. Anika Patel played a crucial role during this turbulent period, traveling between diplomatic summits and humanitarian missions. Her task was twofold: reassure frightened populations and rally support among sympathetic species. At one such summit hosted by the neutral Tareen Federation, Anika delivered a passionate speech. "Humanity stands today not because we sought conquest, but because we chose unity over division, progress over stagnation," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "We ask for your trust, not blind faith but partnership. Together we can build a galaxy where fear no longer dictates our actions." Her message resonated deeply with many attendees, particularly those who had long suffered under oppressive regimes like the Zirans. Slowly but surely, alliances began to solidify. Species once hesitant to side with Earth now offered troops, resources, and intelligence. Even factions within the Galactic Empire started questioning the wisdom of supporting the Zirans, whose brutal methods left trails of destruction wherever they went. On the battlefield, Captain Vasquez's guerrilla strategy proved devastatingly effective. Using cloaked vessels and advanced sensor jamming technology, Earth's fleet struck Ziran convoys and supply depots with surgical precision. Each attack crippled the enemy's logistics without causing unnecessary casualties, a deliberate choice, meant to underscore humanity's moral stance. The Zirans, accustomed to brute force and overwhelming firepower, struggled to adapt to these unpredictable assaults. One particularly daring operation targeted a heavily fortified Ziran command center, located deep within contested space. Led by Lieutenant Kane, a small strike team infiltrated the facility disguised as maintenance personnel. Their goal: extract classified data detailing the Zirans' overall strategy. The mission was fraught with danger, but the stakes were too high to ignore. As Kane and his team moved through dimly lit corridors, tension crackled in the air. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. When they finally reached the server room, Corporal Sarah Lynn hacked into the mainframe, downloading terabytes of encrypted files. Alarms blared just as they finished, forcing them to fight their way out. Armed with non-lethal weapons, the team incapacitated guards and escaped aboard a stolen shuttle, narrowly avoiding capture. Back aboard the Aegis, the extracted data revealed shocking insights. The Zirans weren't just waging war against Earth. They were planning a full-scale invasion of several neighboring star systems, aiming to consolidate power and crush all opposition simultaneously. If successful, millions more would fall under their tyrannical rule. Armed with this knowledge, Elena devised a bold plan. Rather than waiting for the Zirans to execute their invasion, Earth's fleet would preemptively strike at their staging grounds. By disrupting their preparations, they could buy precious time for allied species to fortify their defenses. It was a risky move, requiring coordination across vast distances, but Elena believed it was their best chance. The operation unfolded under the cover of darkness, both literal and metaphorical. Cloaked ships slipped past Ziran patrols, targeting key installations with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions lit up the void as supply depots, shipyards, and communication hubs were obliterated. The Zirans, caught off guard, scrambled to regroup, but the damage was done. Their carefully laid plans unraveled before their eyes. Emperor Vorthan IX watched helplessly as reports flooded in, each worse than the last. His advisors whispered nervously, some suggesting retreat, others urging him to double down. For the first time, cracks appeared in the Emperor's facade of invincibility. Doubt crept into his mind, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. Yet even as victory seemed within reach, challenges remained. Casualties mounted on both sides, and the strain of prolonged conflict weighed heavily on humanity. Supplies dwindled, and fatigue set in among the crews of Earth's fleet. Elena knew they couldn't keep this pace indefinitely. A decisive blow was needed, one that would end the war once and for all. In a final gambit, Elena proposed an audacious assault on the Ziran homeworld itself. "They think themselves untouchable," she explained during a briefing. "Let's prove them wrong, strike at the heart of their empire, and show them what happens when they underestimate humanity. Her officers stared at her, stunned by the audacity of the plan. But deep down, they understood. This wasn't just about winning a Korkam, it was about sending a message. Humanity had risen from obscurity to become a beacon of hope in a fractured galaxy. Now, it was time to cement that legacy. With preparations underway, the fleet prepared for its most perilous mission yet. As engines roared to life and stars streaked past viewports, Elena stood on the bridge of the Aegis, gazing outward. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and perhaps redemption. Whatever the outcome, one thing was certain. Humanity had come too far to turn back now. The assault on the Ziran homeworld was a gamble of monumental proportions. Captain Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard the Aegis knew that failure would mean not only the loss of their fleet, but also the potential collapse of humanity's fragile foothold in the galaxy. Yet as the ships emerged from hyperspace near the Ziran system, there was an unspoken determination among the crew, a quiet resolve to see this mission through, no matter the cost. The Ziran homeworld, a sprawling planet dominated by towering spires and fortified bunkers bristled with defenses. Orbital cannons, missile platforms, and swarms of fighter drones formed layers of protection around the surface. It was clear that Emperor Vorthan IX had anticipated such an attack, though he likely never imagined anyone bold enough, or capable enough, to attempt it. As Earth's fleet approached, alarms blared across the Ziran command network, and their forces scrambled to respond. Elena issued her orders with precision. "Divide into strike teams," she commanded over the comms. "Alpha team will disable the orbital cannons. Beta team secures the atmosphere entry points. Gamma team, you're with me, will breach the capital city and neutralize the Emperor's stronghold." Each team moved with clockwork efficiency, guided by months of training and cutting-edge technology. The cloaking fields developed by Lieutenant Commander Mei Ling allowed many of the ships to slip past initial patrols undetected. Quantum disruptors disabled key defense systems, creating gaps for the fleet to exploit. Despite heavy resistance, the operation unfolded with remarkable speed, though not without losses. Pilots sacrificed themselves to protect their comrades, and engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged vessels mid-battle. As Alpha and Beta teams executed their objectives, Elena led Gamma team toward the heart of the Ziran Empire, the Imperial Citadel. Located in the center of the capital city, the Citadel was a fortress unlike any other, its walls reinforced with alloys that could withstand even Earth's most advanced weaponry. Breaking through would require ingenuity as much as brute force. Lieutenant Marcus Kane volunteered for the infiltration mission. Alongside Corporal Sarah Lynn and a small squad of elite operatives, he descended to the planet's surface using stealth pods designed to evade detection. Once on the ground, they navigated labyrinthine streets filled with panicked civilians and patrolling soldiers. Disguised as local workers, they blended into the chaos until they reached the outer perimeter of the Citadel. "Here goes nothing," Kane muttered as he planted explosive charges at a secondary gate. The detonation sent shock waves rippling through, the structure collapsing part of the wall and granting them access. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Guards rushed to contain the breach, but Kane's team fought back with disciplined precision, using non-lethal weapons to incapacitate opponents without causing unnecessary bloodshed. Meanwhile, high above the planet, Admiral Rajiv Mehta coordinated the fleet's efforts to hold off reinforcements. Wave after wave of Ziran fighters attempted to break through Earth's blockade, only to be met with relentless counterattacks. The battle raged fiercely, lighting up the sky with streaks of plasma fire and exploding debris. Every second counted, and Mehta's calm leadership kept morale intact, despite mounting casualties. Back inside the Citadel, Kane's team pushed deeper, navigating corridors lined with statues depicting Ziran conquests throughout history. Finally, they reached the throne room, where Emperor Vorthan IX awaited them, flanked by his personal guard. Unlike his earlier broadcasts, the Emperor appeared less imposing now, his golden armor dented, his crimson cape torn. Yet defiance burned in his eyes. You dare invade my domain? He snarled, raising a weapon. You think you can defeat me? Kane stepped forward, his voice steady. It's over, Vorthon. Surrender, or face the consequences. For a moment the room fell silent. Then, with a roar of fury, Vorthon charged, his guards following suit. A fierce firefight erupted, but Kane's team held their ground. When the dust settled, the Emperor lay defeated, surrounded by unconscious guards. He glared up at Kane, hatred etched onto his face. This isn't the end, he spat. Even if you destroy us, others will rise to take our place. Kane crouched beside him, his expression grim. Maybe so. But today we've shown the galaxy what happens when tyranny is challenged. Your reign ends here. With the Emperor captured and the Citadel secured, news of the victory spread rapidly. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations watched in awe as humanity dismantled one of the most feared empires in existence. For some, it was a moment of triumph, a sign that justice could prevail against oppression. For others, it was a chilling reminder of Earth's capabilities. Captain Vasquez addressed the Galactic Council shortly after the battle concluded. Standing before representatives from countless species, she delivered a message of unity and hope. We did not come to conquer, she said, her tone measured yet powerful. We came to survive, and in doing so we found allies who share our vision of a better future. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era, not defined by fear or domination, but by cooperation and mutual respect. Her words resonated deeply, earning applause from many delegates. Even former skeptics acknowledged that humanity had earned its place among the stars. Trade agreements were signed, alliances strengthened, and plans drafted for a permanent interstellar coalition aimed at maintaining peace. But the road ahead remained fraught with challenges. Back on Earth, debates raged about how humanity should wield its newfound influence. Should they focus solely on defending their borders, or expand their reach to actively shape galactic affairs? President Sofia Alvarez convened a global summit to address these questions, inviting leaders from every corner of the planet to participate. We stand at a crossroads, she told the assembly. Our actions today will define not just our future, but the destiny of countless worlds. Will we retreat into isolation, content to let others dictate the course of events? Or will we embrace our role as pioneers, working alongside others to build something greater than ourselves? After days of deliberation, a consensus emerged. Humanity would remain engaged in galactic politics, but with a renewed emphasis on diplomacy and humanitarian aid. Construction began on a grand orbital station known as the Nexus, a hub for interstellar trade, research, and cultural exchange. Designed to symbolize unity, the Nexus featured contributions from dozens of species, each adding their unique touch to its architecture. As life returned to normal aboard the Aegis, Elena reflected on everything they had accomplished. The journey had been long and arduous, marked by moments of triumph and tragedy alike. She walked along the ship's observation deck, gazing out at the stars twinkling in the distance. Behind her, Lieutenant Kane joined her, leaning against the railing. Do you ever wonder what comes next? He asked, breaking the silence. Elena smiled faintly. All the time. But whatever happens, I know we'll face it together. That's what makes us strong. Kane nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, we'll leave the galaxy a little better than we found it. In the weeks and months that followed, humanity continued to grow into its role as a galactic power. Challenges arose as they always did, but so too did opportunities. New friendships blossomed, old wounds healed, and dreams once thought impossible became reality. Through it all, one truth remained undeniable. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And as the stars shone brightly above, they served as a reminder that the universe still held infinite possibilities for those brave enough to reach for them.